Hi everyone. In this particular video, we will be talking about a few more AWS related interview questions, and here I will be discussing about few of the questions that we have to discuss here. Correct? In continuation with other videos of the AWS interview questions that you can watch out on the channel itself. That is having the part one, part two, and part three. So today we will be starting from the question number 43. So resource-based role and what is the user-based role, correct? So these are the two different kind of roles, resource-based role and you can see the user-based role, correct? So the role which is created to give access to some of the AWS services if you are working with AWS Cloud, correct? We are discussing about the AWS one only. So if you are creating a role which will grant access of the few of the AWS services and that access will be associated with EC2. Just suppose that to any particular EC2, you have to give the service access of the S3 buckets, correct? So you will create one role and that role will be having the policy of S3 full access, correct? And this particular role will be attached to the EC2. That means so your modify IAM role and there you will be attaching this role. So that kind of role will be called resource-based role, where if you create a role and that role is given to a user and that user will be able to access within your AWS account with the help of access key and secret access key, correct? So this kind of role will be called user specific role, user based role. Moving to the next question, how do you ensure security and compliance when configuring VPC peering connection across different VPC? So you can check for the route, like how your traffic are being routed, or which kind of CIDR you are giving, whether you are having the correct endpoints or not, your internet gateway is associated with there or not, which kind of permissions you are giving to these VPC when they will be connecting with each other, correct? So you can have your security layers according to that. Moving to 45th questions, how to make application highly available and fault tolerance on EC2 on AWS. So to make your application highly available, you can deploy your application into multiple subnets. That means the particular instance will be deployed in multiple subnets, and it can be when it's called that multiple subnet. That simply means there will be multiple availability zones. If you have three subnets and you are deploying your server into multiple availability zone, so that means it's three subnets as well, correct? And to make it highly available, once again you can have the auto scaling group associated with your servers, so that whenever there will be increase in the traffic or decrease in the traffic, number of servers will be adjusted according to that based on your CPU utilization, based on number of requests which are coming to the server, correct? You can have the dynamic policy in the SG which can be associated to maintain your traffic to have a better performance. You can have the optimum instance according to the load, like which kind of loads are coming to your server, so you can associate that as well. For fault tolerance as well, you can have the monitoring enabled there, like CloudWatch alarms you can set up, so whenever some breach happens, so it will notify you on based on that. You can have your actions, pre actions you can do. You can have your IAM rule attached with that, like which kind of services can fetch or EC2 can access the services. So you can have the security as well for your applications which are running on the server. Then next question, signed URL concept in the S3 bucket. So in the S3 bucket, when you store any objects, like you have the multiple objects, and for any particular objects, you want to give the access to a end user, and you want that this particular access should be valid for 5 minutes max. So you don't want to give the access of the S3 bucket itself, but you want to give the access of a particular object which is within within this bucket. So for that, you can create a URL out of that particular object, and that URL will be public, and this can be sent to anyone, and with the fixed time duration. After that particular time duration, that URL will not be accessible. Correct. So that's the concept of signed URL in the S3 bucket. Then the question is, what is BPC flow logs? BPC flow logs is kind of networking logs. Whatever the networks are flowing within the VPC, all these logs are stored in the VPC flow logs. That is the one of the attribute of the VPC. the property of the VPC, and this logs can be stored in your S3 bucket or somewhere if you want to store it and do the investigation according to your need. Then these questions comes in your real interview, and all these questions are out of the real interview only, correct? So next question is, what is your day-to-day task as AWS administrator? You can mention whatever you do, or to simply you can say that I used to do the infrastructure provisioning. I used to do the maintain the security related stuffs. I used to have the I used to create different permission metrics. We used to have the cost optimization concept, like how much network is being utilized, where we can have that resource sharing of the from one account to another account. How do we implement the disaster related things, like how can we have the DR backup kind of thing. So all these things you can mention as administrator, correct? Creating multiple roles, creating permission metrics, and giving access to the new users, how to manage that, correct? So all these things you can manage. Then, have you done any solutioning work? If you have done, you can mention yes or no. So, so when we solutioning, that means developing anything from the scratch, giving a kind of suggestion plan, and then doing the POC for that, and implementing that, and make it to production ready, correct? So that kind of solutioning stuffs. If you have worked, you can say yes and you can answer. Have you used AWS data migration services? So yes, you can say you might have used for your application migration, you might have used for your database migration, DMS service, or if you have used any other services for the migration, you can mention that, correct? Your AWS code pipeline or something. Have you set up the VPN in AWS? That you can mention if you have worked. How to set up VPC peering and VPC tunneling? If you have done the hands-on on this, you can mention that yes, you have worked. This is the one of questions which is being asked in the DevOps interview. So VPC peering is basically used for your connecting two VPC in one region or another region within the one AWS account. And this can be established for having the communication between your primary region and secondary region as well. While the VPC tunneling can be done for one cloud to another cloud as well, or your on-prem to VPC as well. So VPC tunneling is the concept where we create this VPN, the customer gateway, and we used to configure the same thing on the on-prem, and then it establishes connection between your VPC to another cloud. Correct. Then question is, what do you understand by the endpoint? So here by the endpoint, we are more specific about talking about the BBC endpoint. So if you have watched another video, so you might have seen that in the BBC endpoint, we talk about connecting our private resources with the another service. Like if you have to connect your EC2 with the S3, so there you can use the VPC endpoint and you can create VPC endpoint of the type gateway. With the help of that, without using NAT or internet gateway, you can access the S3 with from the SC2, and that will save your cost as well. Then the next question is, what are the assessment tool you have used during AWS migration? If you have used any, so you can mention, otherwise you can skip, correct? So yeah, these are the kind of questions I wanted to cover for in this particular short video. 10 questions, that will be enough. And in next coming video, I'll be covering 10 more questions, and that will be the end of our AWS. And then we'll be moving forward with another topics and a few of the your scenario based questions as well, correct? So we do have scenario based questions as well, so we will cover that as well in the next video. So thank you till the time. Bye.